So it's almost like if you had a disease and that disease made it so that you were starving for something, but you never knew what you were starving for. And you're never going to figure out whether there's emotional neglect because unlike abuse, you can't see it. It's literally about what isn't there. So instead of it being about the punches that were given or the timeouts that were given, it's about the hugs that weren't given, the understanding that wasn't there, the acceptance that you never got, the validation that was absent. But so obviously, if you grew up never getting that, you'd be living in the world where you're like starving but don't know what for. Emotional neglect is actually the silent killer on the planet today. It's an epidemic, and I'm just going to be completely honest with you, it's an extreme epidemic in the Caucasian cultures. The problem with emotional neglect and why it's such a deadly killer is because it's not seen. So it's almost like if you had a disease, and that disease made it so that you were starving for something, but you never knew what you were starving for. And you're never going to figure out whether there's emotional neglect because unlike abuse, you can't see it. It's literally about what isn't there.
Gang
So instead of
stalked.
it being about the punches that were given or the timeouts that were given, it's about the hugs that weren't given. The understanding
Man, that's a good point, but hold on.
that wasn't there. The acceptance that you never got, the validation that was absent. But so obviously, if you grew up never getting that, you'd be living in the world where you're like starving but don't know what for.
Yeah, good point. A lot of people have that going on subconsciously, and myself included. But my comment was, if you have your own mental, spirit, light body, you shouldn't need validation. That's meant to be your connection to gnosis, to knowing. So in other words, you should know that you're okay and know about yourself in a way that you're confident about yourself, you know what I mean? It doesn't matter who you are or what you look like or whatever. But if you have a mental, spirit, light body, it's funny that we're always in good shape, more physically than mentally, because of the world, because you get jealousy as soon as you look a certain way, right? That's indisputable. That's why a lot of people get stalked just by the way they look, right? Women and guys. That's not disputable, that part. But what I'm saying is, you shouldn't be seeking validation from the hive, from a horizontal subset of information. It should be coming from within. That like I said, you know your self-worth, you know your skills, blah, 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 this, that, and the other, right? To the point you shouldn't be seeking validation from other people. So again, sorry, I mean, I see what Teal's saying, and I'm affected myself because I've had quite distant parents, such a cultural gap. They're Dutch and I'm, really Australian. I'm born in Australia. And just the generational gap as well. They're quite a lot older than me. And the traditional sense and stuff. So definitely I'm in this bag. And I think I might even be part of these videos going up on her channel, because I started commenting on her videos and making videos with her featured. This is the second day in a row, and then last week, the other week as well, I thought there was some directed to me, and I don't think I'm making this up in my head. I'm pretty sure she's aware and watched the videos, or at least some of the videos on my channel about her, because it's very, very coincidental. Anyway, so I do like how neutral she is, like she's not emotionally invested in stuff, like she's just using logic, is what I'm trying to say. And I can't disagree with what she's saying, but not totally, right? However, what I've said is like a higher level, because you shouldn't be seeking validation horizontally. This leads to the disintegration and the spiraling off of energy, as we all know. I mean, I'm pretty sure everybody, and her herself probably. But, you know, again, this thing with men and women, can, you know, as some other channel said a long time ago, can women even be in the same way? You know, there's a lot of debate about women and the light body, women and their own spirit, and women and soullessness. So that's going to go on for a bit. I haven't found inconclusive evidence, because it does appear that some women do have their own spirit, right, so to speak. They're not just the spirit of the Matrix. However, they seem to have a very hard time escaping base programming, you know what I mean, or what you might summarize as NPC consciousness. So anyway, well, I'll leave that for another video, but my point is, you know, you shouldn't be seeking this horizontal validation. Other channels have spoken about this. I remember Left Side of the Brain, who's now United Soul Network, a long time ago, he made a video on that. And I agreed with that video that he made, because I was like, yeah, well, that's, you know, that's the truth, that's the highest truth. That's the thing that you need to be always going towards, right? The highest is the thing you're always going towards. So what she's discussing is the lowest. She's clearly discussing the lowest aspect of this. That doesn't make her low, I'm not saying anything like that. But she's dealing, and she damn well knows it, that she's dealing with NPC consciousness. She knows. I can tell. So, you know, I'm happy with how she keeps her head together and stuff as a woman, I've got to say. However, again, I'm going to keep making these videos on how she leans too much to the female perspective. And you're going to say, well, Ben, she is a woman. Yeah, but what we're trying to do here is lift the energy. Now, this is where things get tricky, and you can easily confuse, you know, the things I say for sexism and stuff. That's not at all my intentions. For instance, the downward female symbol is a circle with a cross at the bottom. I've mentioned this before. I didn't make it up. The male symbol is a circle with the pointing up arrow. Enough said. Right? Well, it perfectly demonstrates my point of what I just said the sentence before, how she's discussing the low stuck energy, right? So she's still healing. All I'm saying is I'm throwing in the highest perspective while she is trying to heal their lowest perspective, just so nobody can see me as an asshole or anything, or, you know, like I don't like Teal or something, or this or that. No, I don't attack people, I attack ideas. It's just she's speaking an idea, so she's in the limelight, you know what I mean? Same with me, I expect the same from the world onto me. It's just nobody can fucking understand what the fuck I'm saying. It takes a bit of time, I know, and a lot of you have taken a few years, and I think a lot of people are starting to understand what I'm saying, because I see that reflected in the views. Years later now, I'm sure there's old channels going back over my channel now. I can tell, I can see the statistics. So I know. Yeah, so that's really just what I wanted to say. That's the point. That's the summarization of this video, not I hate Teal or something like that. Or I hate women or something. No. It's, you know, all I was saying was you shouldn't be seeking validation horizontally. In our movement, the organic portal movement, as I mentioned, there was a channel who mentioned, you know, Left Side of the Brain, who said this a long time ago. You know what I mean? And these spiritual people, here we have Teal, one, like, probably the most famous spiritual woman in the world. Who, you know, everybody in the spiritual movement knows who Teal Swan is. You know what I mean? So, yeah, my point just is, you know, again, to reiterate, why aren't these people including the organic portal NPC consciousness stuff, right? Because they're dealing with those type of people. Look at her, she's on a stage. That necessarily means she's talking directly to NPC consciousness. People are completely receptive in front of her. She's got the microphone. Anyway.